we now do have a really exciting panel, what we call our mixed stakeholder panel. We're going to hear from 4 different people from 4 different sectors, from the intergovernmental sector, from the patient sector, from the medical sector, from the pharmaceutical community sector, who are going to talk to us a bit about how their specific sector are working with and helping to advance rare diseases, but also we want them to specifically talk to us about how the UN resolution is going to help them in terms of advancing the work that they're doing and what they're going to be able to do with that UN resolution that's going to help us in terms of advance. Oh, I forgot. Sorry, we are actually coming back to Jan. I moved entirely into the panel. I apologize, Jan. Jan, are you out there? I did not mean to forget you.
I am.
There he is. Hello. Jan thought I had forgotten about. I made this big commitment that you were going to be there as our star right after the break, and then I forgot about you altogether. So Jan, tell us where you are. Jan is speaking to us live from Paris at the high-level conference on rare diseases organized by the French Ministry for Solidarity and Health. Jan, tell us what's happening there and what is the excitement that's taking place in terms of Rare Disease Day there.
Exactly. I'm not with you in Dubai because I'm really pleased to be here in Paris at the Ministry of Health. So I'm trying to show you the building. So that's the Ministry of Health in Paris. I'm just outside. And in a few minutes, we'll start an important conference, the Interministerial Conference of Ministers of Health from all over Europe. 8 of them will be there for an event under the French EU presidency, together with some ministries of European Affairs, ministries of research, and ministers of research, but also members of European Parliament, WHO Europe, and obviously leaders from the clinical world and researchers and industry and patient representative, as you can guess. So what is at stake here today is that indeed in Europe, we are already trying to use the UN resolution to create the change. Because at the end, the UN resolution on addressing the challenges of persons living with rare disease and their families is important, but will only have the importance that we will give it in order to use it as a leverage to create the change we want to see in the world. And what we will do here with this conference is to try to start that momentum. The new policy cycle that we're trying to have here in Europe starts from the UN Sustainable Development Goals, then the UN resolution on addressing the challenges of persons living with rare disease, and also the UN Declaration on Universal Health Coverage. We're using these 3 elements to reframe completely the policy in Europe on rare diseases. And that includes to set goals such as the reduction of diagnostic from 5 years on the average in Europe to 6 months by 2030, by reducing the mortality of children of less than 5 years by 1/3 when affected by a rare disease, but also to try to improve the survival on the average by 3 years in the next 10 years for people with rare disease in Europe, and also to have 1,000 new medicines within the next decade. So that's the kind of goals, meaningful goals for patients and for society that we're promoting. And this requires the spirit of the SDGs, particularly by creating ecosystems, the ecosystems of bringing healthcare and research together with data and data analytics. That's the transformation which is ongoing at the moment in the healthcare system. And that kind of larger scale data at the European level, continental level, and global level are the way to have new progress for people with rare diseases. But it is also the ecosystem of innovation with healthcare, research data, but also with industry and the proper regulations to attract investment in this innovation up to patient access. And the third ecosystem is to bring together integrated care between health and social care around all dimensions of the person in order to enable the inclusion in society and live the optimal potential of his or her life. So this is what is at stake here in Paris. And now we'll leave you and in fact, run into the conference which is starting.
Thank you very much, Jan. And you are such an inspiration for us in terms of being able to, as you say, bring the message of integrated care. So thank you again.
Thank you to all of you. Have a great day.
I can't believe I forgot Jan.
You did not really forget.
I did not really forget him, but we were very much. Now we do come to our stakeholder panel, and I'm delighted very much to be able to introduce our stakeholder panel. We have two of our speakers who will be with us from afar, and we have two who will be here. And I will introduce each one of them as they start to speak. And we're going to begin then with Rio Hada, who is the officer in charge, Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights Section, Office of the United Nations High Commission for Human Rights. So we'll hear from Rio.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me to this discussion. So I'm from OSHR. We are the lead UN organization on human rights, and I'm in charge of economic, social, and cultural rights, including the right to health. So first of all, I would like to congratulate your efforts that successfully led to this GA resolution last year. And I think you can take pride in the success of your work to raise awareness of rare diseases to this very highest level at the United Nations. And this is very significant because there has not been enough attention paid to the situation of persons living with rare diseases, even though they represent a very significant population in society. Everyone is entitled to enjoy the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. And this basic human right to health also depends on and contributes to a broad range of other rights, such as food, water, education, social protection, and work. But persons with rare diseases are particularly at risk of being denied their human rights for many reasons. Rare diseases consist of well over 6,000 conditions. The lack of knowledge and expertise often lead to neglect and insufficient attention to their specific needs. And many people living with rare diseases also suffer from stigma and discrimination associated with their condition. So as UN Human Rights Office, our angle and the message that we bring is one of equality and non-discrimination, inclusiveness and participation, and dignity and justice. And this is where this GA resolution is significant and groundbreaking. This resolution emphasizes that people with rare diseases have equal rights with others, but medical and scientific approach is not enough. People with rare diseases are not just patients waiting for treatments. They are and should remain active participants in society. So we need a shift in our approach and in our mindset as well. Health and social services need to respect their rights and support their independence and autonomy. Under human rights, states are duty-bound to ensure that children with rare diseases are supported to remain in education. Affected adults are able to exercise their right to work. And everyone living with rare diseases and their families can enjoy their rights to social protection and to an adequate standard of living. So in other words, we need to create an enabling environment in which people with rare diseases as rights holders, they can enjoy their rights and contribute to society as anyone else, and they need to be part of the solutions that we seek. And towards this end, this GA resolution is a milestone, and we need to maintain this momentum both at international and national levels. It will be crucial to secure leadership at the highest levels for the protection of the rights of persons with rare diseases. Influential champions, as we have seen in the HIV movement, are indispensable allies. We need to invest more in gathering evidence, data, and research, as the previous speaker said. We need more understanding of the specific human rights challenges they face and share good practices in addressing them. And I will end my remarks related to this point. I think there's a lot more scope to engage with UN human rights mechanism to raise awareness of the rights of persons living with rare diseases, in the work of treaty bodies that monitor and develop normative guidance for the implementation of human rights conventions, in the work of special procedures. These are independent experts that investigate on country and thematic issues, and in the universal periodic review process in which all UN member states will go through peer review and adopt recommendations made. And at the national level, in the work of independent national human rights institutions that monitor rights violations and provide advice to governments. So these are some of the avenues which we can explore together to further advance the agenda for better protection of rights of people living with rare diseases. Thank you very much.
Thank you so very, very much, Rio. And thank you for continuing to open the doors within the UN for us to be able to do our work here. And now we're going to hear from Marc Dunoyer, who is speaking on behalf of IFPMA, the International Federation of Pharmaceutical Manufacturers and Associations. He's also the CEO of Alexion and Chief Strategy Officer for Astrazeneca. Marc?
Hello, and nice to see you again, Durand. So my name is Marc Dunoyer. As said, I'm the CEO of Alexion, which is the Astrazeneca rare disease company. It is a pleasure to be with you today. Our mission at Alexion is to transform the lives of people affected by rare disease and devastating conditions by continuously innovating and creating meaningful value in all that we do. It is an important and urgent work, as roughly across the 7,000 known rare disease, only 5% have an approved treatment. And additionally, the diagnostic journey that Yann Lecam was referring to, which is today on average about 5 years, is far too long. I was very happy to see that Yann Lecam is going to address this issue of reducing the diagnostic journey from 5 years to 6 months. I think it's a very, very challenging but very worthwhile mission. We believe it's a responsibility to listen to patients, understand how we can change the life of people and their families when they are affected by rare disease, and those who work tirelessly to help them. Today, I also represent the voice of the pharmaceutical companies active in the space of rare disease, working together at IFPMA, sharing a broader perspective of the industry that is fully committed to supporting the needs of the rare disease community. And I'm very happy to be part of this panel for the UN resolution. Thank you, Durand. Back to you.
Thank you so very much, Marc. And we do know that IFPMA and certainly the pharmaceutical manufacturers worldwide have been a great friend for rare diseases and really have helped us in terms of, as you say, moving toward the goal of 1,000 new medicines. So this is great. It is now my pleasure to introduce two of our speakers here live in Dubai. First of all, my very good colleague and certainly an inspiration to many of us, Her Excellency Dr. Mariam Mattar, who is the founder, chairperson of the UAE Genetic Diseases Association. Over to you, Dr. Mattar.
Thank you very much. Again, welcome everyone in Dubai, and we are so happy to have all of you here. There's too many familiar faces where we had our journey for the past 4 years going around and trying to initiate the whole concept by empowering a decision maker in different area about the need of our patient and the caregiver for them. So when it's come to United Nations and their support to us, I think it is valuable to go back why we as a United Arab Emirates, and I'm representing my country, to talk on the behalf of the region and the Global Commission for Rare Diseases. It goes back to a very small initiative, which we started back in 2004, which is called UAE Genetic Disease Association. And at that time, there were no single organization where the patient and their family can come forward and talk about it. So we started with some common genetic diseases like hemoglobinopathies, and specifically G6PD, thalassemia, sickle cell anemia. And as soon as we went in the community by empowering those people who are in need about the available, accessible, affordable services when it's come to diagnosis, management, or treatment, at that time we came to know that there is other sporadic rare diseases which are hidden in some of the corners. So the only thing that we did as a part of this lovely country, which is called United Arab Emirates, we call all those non-Emiratis who are coming from a very well-developed country with all the policies and procedure where they can maintain a very good safety net and social support for those target audience of diseases, genetic diseases, and rare diseases. And as it is known almost all the rare diseases are genetics. So by default, we came in a way where we need to extend our care to the rest. So we started by empowering the community with those knowledge. And as soon as only 2 years, and then by the 3rd year, we were able to come on a decision with a decision maker, where we were able to initiate the first ever legislation where we are able to maintain, to increase the quality of the gene of newly born Emirati and non-Emirati in the country, which is called a legislation that nobody are able to get married in my lovely country unless they go for some common genetic disorder screening. And the physician will upgrade those screening according to the family history. And from that point, we came to know that there is other people to come on board. And as soon as 5 years, suddenly I was there on a table with people with Duchenne muscular dystrophy, Parkinson, name it, multiple sclerosis, Down syndrome, and being undersecretary at that time of public health and primary health care, I believe it was a very strong position where I was able to facilitate different legislation in different areas. And from there, I went to Dubai government, where again, I was overwhelmed with the great support of our leader to be the first Emirati as a Director General in Dubai government. And at that time, it was a very good authority where I was having a good network. So we started in Community Development Authority to initiate a concept which was not available in Dubai, to give a license for a group of support group to initiate their organization under the umbrella of the government. And it was not possible throughout the UAE because you need to have a citizen who will come on board as a 20 as a number to initiate this legislation. And believe me, I'm telling you the story in a smooth way. It was not smooth in reality, believe me. And being a woman, it was really not easy. Allow me to say that. It was back in 2004. So now the situation is completely different. So we came forward as an organization with a concept where we come and try to incubate these family and support group and try to empower them with budget, legislation, and a place where they can start their organization. So we started with Down syndrome, then we started with Parkinson, we started with rare diseases. Today, I'm very honored to have my dear brother Marwan here, who I'm happy that now he will take some of the burden from my shoulder and will look after all those lovely kids of rare diseases when it's come to caregiving. But we still will continue by supporting them on legislation level. And finally, going beyond the border of United Arab Emirates, I was lucky enough to be part as well of something called GCC Genomic Society, where all the MD, PhD who are involved in genetics, we came on a board as a society. And now we have a representative in something called the Executive Office of GCC Minister of Health. So we are upgrading whatever we were able, successful, to implement in United Arab Emirates and specifically in Dubai, to upgrade it on the level of the region. And so far, we are so happy with the collaboration and the way we were received in Saudi Arabia and Oman and Bahrain. And we are looking forward to have the same momentum in the region. And that will extend furthermore to Egypt. And again, I'm so happy to be here representing my lovely region in this global commission. And again, a success on the regional level to support our children. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Miriam. It's amazing to hear the journey that you've been able to take through. And certainly we can see the benefits throughout the region, as you say, but probably way beyond that. So there you go. Now you can see what a woman can do when she's in the right position. And now it is my real pleasure to introduce again Flaminia Makia, who you've already seen in the video that we did, the Executive Director of Rare Diseases International, who's going to talk to us about what the patient community internationally will be doing with the UN resolution. Flaminia.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I would like to underline 3 ways in which the UN resolution generates opportunities for persons living with a rare disease and their families. So the process towards a resolution, the resolution itself, and the resolution as an enabler, as a door opener. So first of all, the process. Getting the UN resolution really gave an impetus, gave a lot of energy to national patient groups to go to their own policymakers and put rare diseases on the table. It also further connected the international movement to work together towards a major common goal. We do feel that we feel closer. Secondly, the resolution has its own intrinsic value as a huge achievement of the whole community everywhere in the world. But why is this a huge achievement when it's not binding on member states? Well, it gives immediate global visibility to an invisible population, first. It also means that the challenges of this population are now also visible and recognized as being specific to living with a disease which is rare. So visibility and recognition are both fundamental to any progress that we want to make. Obviously, if a population remains invisible and its challenges are ignored, no specific measure can be developed to address challenges that do not exist. Well, this is not possible anymore. 193 countries have now recognized the existence of this population and its multidimensional challenges. Third, with visibility and recognition together, we can now move towards social justice and equity. Equity for a population that accumulates many layers and different levels of vulnerability. We heard it, challenges accessing education, finding, maintaining, and returning to work, challenges in terms of gender equality, as women are disproportionately discriminated against and stigmatized. Lack of investment, research, and innovation to find treatment. So overall, this population is at greater risk of impoverishment and social inclusion and social exclusion. So I take my wish as a true. So we have now commitment from the global community to address these challenges holistically, and we can now progress towards equity, because equity means doing more for those who have less. Third, the very last is a UN resolution impact as a door opener, as an enabler. Health-related issues. There is very strong language in the final text of the resolution on strengthening healthcare systems, international networking and collaboration to address rare diseases. And stronger healthcare systems will better support universal health coverage for rare diseases. And for this very specific health-related aspect, we will work closely with the WHO, and we will hear later the Director for Health Promotion of WHO. Concerning the other challenges beyond health, the resolution empowers us as a community and opens the door towards other UN bodies, agencies, and programs in order to truly address rare diseases holistically. We have heard the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, but there is also UNDP, the World Bank, UNICEF, UN Women, and others. So there is language in the resolution to do this, as now rare diseases exist within the UN system. And lastly, and very extremely importantly, the UN resolution provides this global legitimacy to empower local and national advocacy groups. The resolution strengthens all of us as a community everywhere in the world to drive local change and implement the objectives that are in the resolution for a better life for persons living with a rare disease and their families. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Flamini, and certainly thanks to our entire stakeholder panel. You can see how it all fits together, right? That UN resolution is something that all of the sectors help drive, but it really does have resonance in terms of the work that's being done. So thank you again. And now, picking up on what Flamini was talking about, we're going to have several speakers who are going to be speaking about their national implementation of the work that they're doing, and also how the UN resolution is going to help them in terms of what they're doing.
Hi, my name is Amira Amada. I'm the Vice President of Instituto Vidas Raras here in Brazil. I'm connected to the organization because I met my friend Dudu, who has MPS 6 at law school, and we graduated together. And his mom asked me to come to work with her, and I've been working with the organization for 12, 13 years already. And it's a pleasure to work with them and to the community.
Hi, I'm Sui.
And I'm Edmund, and we live in Malaysia, which is in Southeast Asia.
We are parents of 2 boys who has rare disease. My eldest son, Jaden, who's 14 years old, has growth hormone deficiency and pituitary macroadenoma. And our youngest son, Brandon, has spinal muscular atrophy, and he's 11 years old.
Because of their journeys, some time ago we set up a non-profit organization which works not only locally, but we engage both regionally and internationally as well.
Hello, my name is Nicole Millis. I am the CEO of Rare Voices Australia, RVA, the peak body for Australians living with a rare disease. I'm also the mother of a young adult living with a rare disease.
We are Lina and Majid Jafar from the UAE, and we are the proud parents of Alia, our daughter, who was born 7 years ago with a rare disease called CDKL5 deficiency disorder, or CDD.
Hello, my name is Vesna, and I'm a Gaucher patient, type 1. So this is the reason why I got involved in the rare disease community.
The work that we're most proud of is to be able to play a role to get some patients started on treatments for their SMA. These were under what we call compassionate use programs, so they're given by pharma for free to the patients. Unfortunately, not all patients get it, and only some. But in the early days, this looked really impossible because the doctors were not on board. Pharmaceutical companies also were either not here or not interested, and the stakeholders didn't know about SMA. So we spent years drumming up support, getting people to be more aware, and creating what we felt was an environment that could start to work together, right? Because each of them just can't do it by themselves. And in 2020, we're really pleased that some of the kids started getting treated with 2 different drug therapies in Malaysia. Now, we're very blessed, very fortunate. One of them is our son. And firsthand now we can see why these treatments really matter. His disease has stabilized, and through that stabilization, there's so many functional gains that he has gotten. And it's not about the function, it's about how our lives seem to have completely changed. When before, it felt like we were just fighting a disease, and it was some point we just knew that it's going to be incredibly difficult and there would be a loss. Now it sort of changed that whole future. And now it makes us think, right? It really makes us think beyond the disease. What does life mean for him as well as for us?
And also, not just us, the families who have experienced, or the child who has been treated, the caregivers have experienced tremendous hope to see that the child could thrive more. And with these small children, instead of passing off before 2 years old, they are now living to live the life that was possible with the treatment. But we are well aware that this comes a lot with needing support from the community and from other stakeholders. And mental health is one of the big issues that we know the caregivers would need in terms of support. And therefore, We are also having programs to support the families in terms of mental health. And we know that these children will now be able to go to school. The challenges that comes ahead of us is huge.
As with all rare disease families, it has been a remarkable journey. The challenge of diagnosis at the beginning, through to advocacy and supporting research through the Lulu Foundation that we established when Alia was just 1. And then to establishing the High Hopes nonprofit therapy center here in Dubai 5 years ago, to supporting her and other special children just like her in the UAE.
The UAE has been an incredibly supportive place to raise a child with a rare disorder, from the national and local government policies ensuring greater inclusion and accessibility, to the public awareness campaigns and events such as the hosting of the Special Olympics in 2019 and here at Expo this year. As part of our UAE community efforts, we joined with other families from High Hopes to hold the first Rare Disease Day walk on Kite Beach, Dubai in 2018, attended by several hundred people. This grew to over 2,000 people by the Rare Disease Day 2020, led by the UAE Minister of Tolerance, His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan bin Mubarak Al Nahyan, and with support from many government bodies, including Dubai Police and Fire Brigade Band and mascots, as well as schools, hospitals, and local businesses. While the COVID pandemic moved our events online, the enthusiasm and support has only grown, and we look forward to being in person again next year.
In 2014, we actually managed to gather 12 different rare disease organizations into one national alliance for rare diseases. And this was, when we got a little bit more serious. We actually wrote a strategy, a national plan for rare diseases. It's still not adopted, by the way, but the government formed a commission for rare diseases, a registry for rare diseases. They have a special program for funding rare disease treatment, and everything is in place to support people with rare diseases. Today, we fight so we get rare diseases into our laws, because rare diseases are not a definition in our health law. They are not existent in our social laws. So this is what we are trying to do now. We want to get them a special place in our laws so they can get the services that they need as people with rare diseases.
A few years ago, on behalf of the Australian Government, Rare Voices Australia led the collaborative development of Australia's National Strategic Action Plan for Rare Diseases, the first nationally coordinated effort to address rare diseases in Australia. It was informed by multi-stakeholder consultation, developed by the rare disease sector for the rare disease sector. Now Rare Voices Australia is leading the implementation of the action plan in many ways. We are developing a rare portal, a digital hub customised for Australia. We are collaborating with universities to develop and customise rare disease education for health professionals, mental health support, and rare disease system co-design. We are influencing HTA reform, contributing to research partnerships, highlighting strengths, gaps, and opportunities for further investment into the rare disease workforce, as well as rare disease registries and clinical trials. Our focus is on rare disease policy and systemic advocacy. We work collaboratively with over 90 RVA partner organisations, mostly specific disease support groups.
One of the main focus of our work here in Brazil is to create public health policies to the rare disease community, something that are created just for them. And when we saw and worked on the UN resolution, we felt like we would have more support on an international way, so our government would feel the need to commit with our community here in Brazil. So last year we had the newborn screen expansion law approved here. So for us was something very important, and that I think goes along with the UN resolution very well, because when we are talking about the right diagnosis on the early stages of life, we're gonna have a better quality of life. And we talk about the right to go to school, to work, to play, because they need to have the right to play. And that's something that we need to make sure that the people with rare disease will have all these aspects of their life. They will have support so they can enjoy life and not just do some treatment, or it's not just the health that we need to take care. We need to make sure that they will have a good life. And I think the UN resolution bring this hope and give us support so we can fight in our own countries to have this.
The UN resolution is so important and will help to advance our work in Australia. The increasing profile of rare diseases within the United Nations helps us to highlight gaps and inequities and opportunities for improvement. The UN resolution helps us to keep rare disease policy a priority for decision makers. It brings visibility to people living with a rare disease and acts as a catalyst for actions and policies, both at the global and national level. It encourages the Australian government to keep showing rare disease leadership, to maintain traction with the action plan implementation. Importantly, it helps to show and remind us that we are not alone. We are a global community with a strong voice.
What does life mean to us? I believe this is the same question that many RD families ask, correct?
Yep.
And in Malaysia, the perception of the rare disease community is a health issue, probably because it's the word disease. So now, with the UN resolution, which affirms there are more challenges than just health issue, we are now able to use it as a toolkit to have dialogues with respective ministers, with respective other stakeholders.
Yeah. The fact that it's a UN resolution, I think it helps because we can go to everyone and say, for it to be a UN resolution, this must be really important. And because it's really important, this deserves some time from you. Whereas in the past, they'll sometimes look at you and say, well, okay, so Edmund, two of you only, we can get pushed away. But with a UN resolution, it brings the voices of the whole rare disease community in Malaysia. And not only that, the 300 million people who are affected by this, to let everyone know who's responsible to make a change, understand that this is important and it deserves their attention. And more important than that, we need commitments to start to make a difference. There's a lot that needs to be changed, but with this UN resolution, it really helps us get our foot in through the door, keep our foot in the door to keep it apart, and to now have conversations that we can progress. Only with that, we can start to really make a difference across all these other areas, which today we all know are significant challenges for rare disease families to live a better life.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, if you want to get some social service as a rare disease person, you cannot do that. You can do it if you have some kind of a disability, physical or mental. So if you have problem functioning, then you can actually get a social service. But if you only have a rare disease and you're a functional person, at least, you know, when they see you, they say, oh, you have a disease? I don't think so. You look so healthy. You have nothing. So you get nothing as a social service. And this is a problem. And we are trying to resolve this. And I really hope that the UN resolution will actually help us to get this equity for rare diseases, for families facing these challenges and problems, because we don't want to be people with disabilities. We want to stay people with rare diseases. It makes us special, it makes us different, and we are proud to be people with rare diseases.
Here, with the being part of the group that worked on the UN resolution, brought us more support from physicians, from government, and we see a bigger commitment. As we have an election year, and we are going to get this UN resolution to all the people that will take part on this election, so they will know about us and they can put us on their program, so we can make sure that they will commit with us. And we are doing the same thing with the government right now. So as this month, this February month starts, we are doing a lot of work with the media, with government, physicians, to make sure that they know about this and that we can use this in our favor.
The UN resolution last year was a momentous achievement, supported by all the governments of the Middle East, formalizing recognition for the tens of millions of rare disease patients in our region and around the world.
The drive to promote positive social change for people with physical and intellectual disabilities and create a more inclusive society runs through the core of the UAE, our policies and our future ambitions. We believe in inclusion of all people of determination and strive for them to have fuller lives and to contribute to our society. Today, the UAE and the wider Middle East community stand with all those with rare diseases and their families, as we strive to ensure their inclusion and help them live fuller lives. To all these families out there, remember, we are all in this together.
Rare is many, rare is strong, rare is proud.
Patients on the ground, you've seen it from certainly as the national organizations, from the medical, from the international groups, and certainly at the highest levels in terms of the government. So this is kind of the beginning in terms of what we can do with it. Now we're going to take a break. For those of us here, it will be lunchtime. For those of you who are in Central Europe, you might have an extended mid-morning break. For those of you who are in North America, hopefully some of you will be listening to us, you can have your second breakfast or whatever you do at this hour of the morning. And for those of you who are at the East, I guess you can have a midnight snack. Whatever it is, we have about an hour and a half, and then we'll come back for the rest of our program. Thank you so very much for our morning speakers.